Okay, we're going to start our availability post NASCAR Cup Series championship. We're joined by Kyle Larson. If you have a question for Kyle, please raise your hand. We'll go straight to questions. We'll start over here with Zach, Justin, and Jeff.
Zach Sturniolo, NASCAR.com, Kyle. A big fight there with you and Blaney there, that last green flag run. What's going through your mind in those moments, understanding what's at stake?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw him get to third as quickly as he did, I knew I was going to be in trouble. I felt like, I could maybe hold off William for the length of that run, but holding off Ryan was going to be tough. So, yeah, he could just move around a lot better than me and kind of be more comfortable on the edge. He definitely looked, loose, but he could still push the car where I couldn't push the car really further than what I was, and at least find lap time. I felt just really committed to the bottom. Even while I would move around and make my car feel better, it was slower on lap time. So I knew I was in a little bit of trouble and was going to try and put up a fight. But I felt like I wasn't going to be able to hold him off. So, yeah, he did a really good job, and, his team continued to improve on their race car throughout the last, few months. And, they deserve to win.
You guys also seem to be struggling for grip, as you were alluding to there, with that a lot of adjustments during pit stops. But you guys were gaining spots on pit road every time too. What can you say about the resiliency of that number 5 team?
Yeah, no, I that was the only reason why we're really in the hunt was pit road and the pit crew obviously, but even our pit. Like the way we execute our pit road lights, the engineers and everybody who maps that out and everything, I felt like, I just wanted to keep coming down pit road. Good job. I felt like too, William was coming and I knew if I could just stay in front of him, if we could get a caution, get an opportunity to go coming down pit road, our rolling times were going to be so good. I knew our pit crew was going to do a good job that, I could come out the leader of the four of us and was hoping to come out the leader of the race. And, those guys had just taken 2 tires, and I just had to work a little bit hard to try and get to the lead, and just didn't get it done. I needed to get to the lead, and I think maybe that would have been our shot.
As you can see, we're joined now by William Byron. We'll continue with questions, and we'll go to Justin.
Justin Schuler, kicking the tires. Kyle, it seemed like that outside lane would come in more towards the second half of the run, and Blaney kind of really used that pretty much from the start to really hunt you down. Were you kind of surprised by that, or I guess expecting it maybe?
No, I wasn't surprised by anything he was doing behind me. I felt like the run was shorter, so he was going to start moving around sooner because you don't have to worry about kind of taking care of your tires as much for a 70, 80 lap run or whatever we were making for runs. So no, I wasn't surprised to see him moving around, and I wasn't surprised he was making speed up there either because I got to watch him a lot during the race, and his car was just really good. He could run multiple lanes, and like I said, I just had to run the bottom the whole race. So I was just so committed to that. Basically, it was the same way earlier this spring. So we'll learn from this race as well as the spring and try to study and be a little bit better and try and I'm sure the cars will be way different next year, it sounds, but we'll just try and learn and see if we can be better.
Go to Jeff.
It seemed like after Denny got eliminated, he talked a lot about how he was at peace because there was nothing he felt like he could have done different. And like watching you guys today, nothing jumped out as like, well, if they'd done this, they would have won. Like for both of you guys, it just seemed like, you got beat by a faster car. Is that fair to say, like how you feel that you have a sense of peace with how this went?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at peace knowing that was, that's all I had today. I know it didn't look maybe like it that last run, but that was all I had. Our team did a really good job of putting us in that spot. I'm still obviously extremely bummed, as I'm sure Denny was last week. Even though I didn't feel like I had the fast car, I had an opportunity. So it's a bummer that when you don't win. But at the same point, I'm probably coming up this close. Yeah, I'm probably more eager for the following season already. Like, I know where I need to improve, and I'm just ready to get back on the track and work on all that. So, yeah, bummed, but also eager to get into the off season, get working, and get ready for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I thought like before the track rubbered in, I thought we were probably the best, but we had clean air too. So I thought when we had clean air, like we were trying to perfect our balance out front, and then once we got back second to fifth, really, like we just didn't have the turn. Like we just couldn't keep up with him, especially running up the racetrack. We could run lower and kind of get out of the leftover resin up there, but we just couldn't rotate up there. So it's kind of all we had. I mean, that last 30 lap before the caution, I thought we had something, and there was a lot of lanes, and the pace was pretty slow. But as soon as we got back going on the restart, that was all we had.
Lee Spencer, CatchFence.com. Kyle, being a champion yourself, what kind of champion do you think Ryan Blaney will be for the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be a great champion. As every champion, I can't think of a bad champion. So, yeah, I know he'll be good, and he's gonna be around for a long time. Also, you know, he's young and in his 20s still, so you know, opportunity to win multiple championships. So, you know, his family has a lot of heritage in motorsports too. So, I think that's really special to see where that, you know, he's taken that Blaney name to the next level. I'm a huge Blaney fan, like Dave and Dale, Ryan. You know, like I've gotten to race with a lot of Blaneys, and they're all really good. And so yeah, you know, it is really cool to even though he came from a totally different background than his uncle and his dad. You know, it's cool that he's, you know, able to make that Blaney name even more legendary than it already is.
And for both of you,
And Lou, I forgot to mention Lou Blaney too. So yeah.
and for both of you, how much would you like to go out in your careers the way Harvick did today? I mean, battling guys like you, championship contenders for the win, you know, finishing in the top 10, leading laps. I mean, can you just talk a little bit about what Kevin has meant to you, and just to be able to be on top of his game and is very, you know, going out on his own terms?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's been super good to talk to. Like I talked to him in my rookie season, and you know, at this track especially, he's amazing. So that first run was fun to watch him, just the way he works the racetrack and just how he manipulates his car. And you know, it'll be it'd be nice to pick his brain on Phoenix. But yeah, it's gonna be cool to see him go into the broadcast booth, and you know, he's been a great race car driver to race against, and respectful but really tough to race with.
Yeah, for me, yeah, I hope whenever I'm done someday I can, you know, come away and finish my final race in similar fashion. And I really thought he was going to be the one to beat today. You know, he was super fast in practice. Phoenix is his best track probably, and yeah, so it was fun getting to battle with him in his final race there. And yeah, he's just been a fierce competitor, a great ambassador for the sport, and is going to continue to be as well. So. And Keelan's not too far off from racing with all of us too, so I'm excited to share the track with him someday.
We'll go over here.
Burns, BlazeRadioOnline.com. I know there's some difficulties passing today. You know, the higher lane had a lot of momentum, but how much fun did you guys have just fighting all day around, you know, not only Championship 4 drivers, but, you know, some of the other drivers as well?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, you know, I wasn't able to move up the racetrack, but it was kind of cool. You know, I felt like before Bell had his issues, all of us four were sort of close to each other and together and better at different points of the run. You know, William was doing a really good job at that point to kind of maintain the lead of the four guys, and you could tell he was struggling a little bit, but he did a really good job. And then, yeah, Bell had his issues, and Blaney had to work for it. You know, he had the best car of us four, but he really had to work for it, and guys around him, you know, that were not in the Final Four were racing him really hard too. So, yeah, he definitely deserved it, and he earned it, and, you know, kudos to them and his team.
We'll go to Holly, then wrap up with John.
Thank you, and I apologize if you guys just answered this, but it seemed like to us that Ryan was racing a little bit harder, more aggressively maybe than we always see him go. Would you guys say that was true or not?
No, he's always aggressive. He's always, you know, quick and aggressive. So I don't think it was anything new. I mean, I think maybe just the situations that we were all in and the way the track is here, but I thought it was pretty similar.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a quiet guy, but I feel like he races really hard and he gets extremely fired up too on the radio. So I'm curious what his radio sounded like when I seen him. He was mad at the 19 at the end of the second stage. He ran in the back of him under caution, and I think he ran in the back of Ross. One of the next cautions. So I'm sure he was mad. They showed his in-car. He was like waving his arms. So okay. But yeah, no, so it was, I was a fan from behind the other guys because, like, man, maybe we got a shot here. But, no, he, like I said, he earned it. He worked really hard throughout that whole race, so he did a great job.
Okay, we'll go John, and then for real, wrap up with Kelly.
John Newby, NBC Sports. There was a bunch made this week about how you guys are, the youngest championship forever. Is there an excitement among you knowing that, there's a potential where the four of you will continue competing for championships year after year after year, especially with the lack of animosity between you?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of young guys out there that could get into the Final Four. So I feel like it's just really changing of who's in the good cars and who's kind of coming in the sport. So I feel like some of those opportunities are opening up, and I'm getting more experience, and a lot of these guys are getting more experience. So,
yeah, I mean, I kind of echo that. I feel like too, us at Hendrick Motorsports, like we're with arguably the top team in the sport. So, I'm confident that William and I and our teammates will contend for championships as long as we're in one of those four cars. So, that's exciting, and yeah, it's fun.
We'll wrap with Kelly.
Kelly, ChronoRacer.com. William, you had said there was no pressure to kind of cap off what has been an incredible year for you and your team. This was the next step for you, winning the most races, number one seed. Do you take this as, okay, we can only just continue to go up from here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a letdown based on how we started the race, but I think that as soon as we got into stage 2, it's kind of, trying to figure out, okay, how do we manage what we have and maybe make it a little bit better if we can, and but we just need more on the short tracks. We just struggled as a team on the short tracks, but we had a great season, a lot to be proud of, a lot of really solid races, communicating well as a team. So I feel like all that stuff can just go up a notch, hopefully, and just have a bit more speed at certain tracks that we know are important. We definitely, down the stretch here, it was tough. We didn't have really what we needed, but that's okay.
Kyle, William, really appreciate the time. Class acts, as always. Enjoy the off-season. Okay, we're now joined by our race-winning team today, members of the number 1 Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet, crew chief Phil Surgen, and owner Justin Marks. We'll get right to questions to these race-winning gentlemen. We'll start up here in the front with Zach, and then go to Jenna.
Zach Sturniolo, NASCAR.com. Justin, for you, first and foremost, congratulations. But this was a year where you guys didn't have as much success as you did last year. How do you look at what this 23 season was for you guys, and how much can this help build momentum into 24?
Yeah, I mean, I'm every bit as proud of this season than I was of last season. I mean, the series has gotten tougher. I mean, it's just, these big teams, these teams that are bigger than us have a lot of resources to figure out these cars. And now these, it's everybody's understanding the cars, more and more, what it takes to make them go fast. The drivers are understanding how to drive them. So just the level of competition seems to have gotten much more difficult this year. So, look, I mean, we won 2 races. 3 in the organization. I mean, I think it's a wonderful success. I think the playoffs are just very, very difficult. One race can make a difference. Ross had some great races in the playoffs, and the one team put up a heck of a fight. But it's just so difficult to get to Phoenix. So, I think this is a very successful season. Another season that rewarded all the hard work in the company with multiple wins and a lot of happy people. And it definitely gives us some momentum during the winter to get fired up for next year and try to make it back to Phoenix for the championship round.
Jenna?
Jennifer, AP, I guess for either of you, but Phil might know more. obviously you want to win the race, but very rarely does a non-championship contender win the race. It's been since Denny Hamlin in 13 at Homestead, since it had been done. How much of that was this team's desire to go out and win, and also how much was it, because Blaney and Ross were racing each other really hard, was it, I'm a Chevy guy, and this Ford is racing Chevys as well. I've got to keep him back there.
Yeah, we have the same desire to win every week, and the championship implication in that moment really didn't matter to us. Our goal this weekend was to win the race, so running hard for the lead is what we got to do to win, and that's simply what it was.
Were you surprised when Blaney ran into the back of Ross?
No, I mean, it's his championship race. He's got a lot to lose. He's going to run as hard as he thinks he needs to secure that, so I wasn't surprised that it was a hard fight.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports for Justin. Can you give me a sense of perspective? We see a younger driver win today, youngest, for Championship 4. The last 3 champions, Chase, Kyle, Joey, now Ryan. Your guys aren't old. You're trying to do things and change the sport, trying to get into new areas in the sport. When there is a changing of the guard or more of a youthful driver base having more success, how can you play it, and what does that mean? How can this success of these guys carry from your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not trying to change the sport. I think we're trying to do some things that are uniquely Trackhouse, and just getting creative in our sort of personality, and bringing things to the fans that are exciting, and to our partners that are exciting. So, I think the sport is definitely skewing younger, and to me that's opportunity. To me that's exciting, because you look at the drivers are skewing younger because the tools that they have at 14, 15, 16 years old are really unprecedented, and so they're just cup ready. The talented ones are cup ready at so much younger of an age, and I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. And I think that that's tremendous opportunity, because it represents future. And I take a lot of pride in the fact that there's young ownership in this team, and there's young ownership at 2311, and there's young ownership at some of these places that are trying to do things their own way, and trying to be unique, and thinking about branding and storytelling, and just the way that they come to the racetrack. And so I think that's opportunity for our sport, and I think it's exciting for the future. I mean, you saw all these guys that battled in the top 4 today in this season, and a lot of the others like Ross and Daniel are going to be fighting and battling each other for many, many years to come, and I think it's an exciting thing.
Go to Lee in the back, and then Greg.
Lee Spencer, catchfence.com. Justin, just kind of curious, Daniel seemed a little, I'm trying to say this delicately, put off. He felt like he wasn't getting everything that he needed when he talked to us yesterday. And I'm just kind of curious, do you anticipate any more support going to the 99 team in 2024?
I mean, one thing that we've always said is that, Daniel's and Ross's success is our success as an organization, and we fight with everything that we've got to fight with to give both of those guys an opportunity to win every single week. And they struggled a little bit this year. I mean, they've been fast at times, and they've had some really, really great races. But we owe it to Daniel and to the organization this winter to take a real hard look at that 99 program and make sure that we are surrounding him in 2024 with all the tools and things that he needs to be successful. And so, I mean, I think, in any multi-car organization, there's one or two that are behind the others for a number of different reasons, whether it's data or information or process or culture or, whatever. So, we just have to, take a hard look at that and make sure that we re-rack the deck in 2024 with a tremendous opportunity for him to go out and be successful, because we've got the people and the partners and the tools to have both these cars in the playoffs and fighting in every round. So, like I said, we owe it to him. He's a tremendous human being. He's a tremendously talented race car driver that wants it as much as anybody else out here. And we're going to try really, really hard to make sure that next season, replicates 2022.
Go to Greg.
Congratulations, both you guys and the whole team. Would this be a perfect example? Because, since you started this deal, you've always wanted to be like the disruptor of sorts, right? Is this kind of a perfect example of that, where you guys come in here and you win the race, Justin, and you're like disrupting the natural flow of things, and that's the way it is, and that's the way you are, and, coming out here winners?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to on the racetrack, we're just trying to win. I mean, I think when I talk about disruption, it's like, how can we be, a compelling team in the series, an exciting team in the series, and one that people and partners and fans pay attention to. So that's what I mean by that. But, certainly it sort of is organically worked out that we are lucky enough to have these really cool special moments, whether it's, being the first in whatever 10 years or whatever to win the season finale as a non-contender in the championship, or riding the wall wide open, or getting the first, Mexican-born race winner in the sport of Cup. I mean, it's just really kind of cool that it happens that way. But at the end of the day, we have a great culture in the company. We have a lot of really, really valuable people that really like working here. And when it comes to on the racetrack stuff, we just try to be fast and just try to win. And the more we win, the better everything else gets. So.
Justin, Phil, thank you for your time, and congratulations on the win today. Okay, for the second consecutive night and the third consecutive day, Ford is the champion. And for the second consecutive day, we have Mark Rushbrook, the Ford Performance Global Director, here with us to talk about it. Congratulations on sweeping the weekend, Mark. We'll go right to questions. We'll start up here with Jenna, then go to Kelly and Jonathan.
Jennifer AV. Congratulations, Mark. After the struggles you guys had all year, to even have had a chance maybe to be in this was nice. But then you swept the weekend. I mean, are you shocked?
Well, thank you for phrasing it that way. No, I mean, this is NASCAR, right? And all three national series are so competitive, and you've got to be on your game for every element of the program, whether it's the engine, the chassis, the setup, the aero, the driver, the picker, everything's got to be right. And yeah, we did struggle for sure, especially in Cup early on certain style tracks, but the team, all of our racing teams and working together, nobody gave up and kept digging, and certainly came on strong, especially with Team Penske in the 12 car through the playoffs. Had some strength with RFK through the season, and we've had seasons where we've won a lot of races and not won a championship, and that's been a disappointment. And we didn't win as many races as we would have liked to this year, but to win 3 championships just makes a statement, I think, about the team we have in Ford Performance, but the partnership and the family that we have racing our cars and trucks on track. So really proud of what everybody's done. Well, no, I said this week in some of the interviews during the week as we were unveiling our new car, and people were asking obviously about the championship, and you'd always like to have, you want to always have at least one driver in the championship for every series. You'd like to have more, and we had one driver in, and I knew we had a good shot with all of those drivers and teams. And but so much happens during the race, and it certainly, especially Friday night, things could have gone any direction. But Ryan was so strong today that he was driving to the front on every run, and he was racing hard against everybody. He certainly earned the championship today.
Before we go to Kelly, really good stat from my man Dan Zacharias here. This is the first time since 2001 a manufacturer has swept all 3 championships, and only the 6th time in history. The first were done by Chevy. So, cool stat for you guys this weekend. We'll now go to Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Mark, I wanted to go down that same direction as Jenna just asked, specifically on the Cup Series side. You and everyone at Ford had talked about it all year. We are trying, we are working, we are never giving up. When the playoffs started, and then as you had Joey, you had Ryan, you had the RFK cars, but then it starting to get whittled down. Can you just talk about what these last 10 weeks were like, and trying to, continue to get better, give these teams what they needed, and then to have Blaney be the last guy standing?
Well, we entered in Cup with more drivers than Chevy and Toyota to start, but then we lost more in the first round, going from 16 to 12, and we were on the other side of it. But that is what makes this playoff format exciting, is those cutoffs where you're cutting every 3 races, you're cutting out 4 of the drivers. And you've got to peak at the right time and have the right finishes at the right time. And it certainly, especially for the 12 car and Team Penske, they came on strong, winning at Talladega, and then really strong again at Miami Homestead, winning at Martinsville, and strong here again today. Yeah, well, I feel like we work so hard every year. Everyone does, right? That's what NASCAR racing is. But when you do have struggles early in the season, it does make you, at some level, dig deeper and work harder. It stresses relationships for sure, but ultimately you come back together as family and partners and get through it.
Jonathan, and then we'll go to Wolfgang.
Jonathan Viel, the racing experts. First of all, welcome back. Second of all, this is the first time in 19 years that you guys have won back-to-back Cup titles, and it's all been with the Gen 7 car. And I know you guys have had some struggles, but what can you chalk the success up to?
Well, we've increased the emphasis on our program every single year. And certainly with the relevance, we were really big at pushing for the next gen car back in the early days when it was first being talked about, the relevance and everything, which made it even more important for us to be successful with it. So we were working hard, obviously, on the next gen car before we were ever racing it, and not just on the body, but also making sure we understood what the common chassis was, running it in our simulator. So really understanding it, I think, is what it takes to be successful.
Go to Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Munzer from German Rushbrook Press Agency. First of all, congratulations. From a marketing point of view, how important is to win with the Mustangs, the Cup Series, and can you marketing this also internationally outside of the United States of America, the Mustang success?
Yeah, winning is everything for us. Just as a point of pride, it's certainly going to be a celebration in Dearborn. My phone has been blowing up with Ford family members and our senior executives already so excited about it. So it means a lot internally to the customer because motorsports is so important to us. But that is the basis for a successful marketing program is success on the racetrack. So you have to win races, you have to win championships to have that credibility and for fans to engage with your brand and want to make them proud to have a Ford parked in their driveway or in their garage. And for us, NASCAR, even though we're racing a Mustang, we certainly sell Mustangs because of it, but we sell more F-150s to NASCAR fans than we do Mustangs. But this is a proof point for them. As far as the international question, Mustang is our global sports car. It is the best-selling sports car in the world. And when we took the decision back in 2015 to have Mustang go global, that was an important decision for us to be able to have that. And now with the commitment of our company for the 7th generation Mustang, and to have that continue to be selling globally as a road car, but we're racing it globally, not just in NASCAR and HRA, but in Australia supercars, Mustang GT3, Mustang GT4, Dark Horse R with a spec challenge. We take the benefits from any Mustang success and market it globally. It helps all of our Mustang racing programs be more successful.
Go over here.
Eric List, Blaze Radio, and an illustrious career for Kevin Harvick comes to an end tonight. What has he meant to Ford, and will there be any continued work with him, even though he'll be retired?
Yeah, we love Kevin Harvick. That was a big part of bringing Stuart Haas to Ford, was knowing that Kevin Harvick was there. And it's a weird moment. I was talking to Delane on pit road before the race and asking her how she felt. And for her, it was like, suddenly the day's here, like, it's coming, and we feel the same way, right? We've known that Kevin was going to retire for quite some time, and suddenly here we are in Phoenix, and he had a great race. It was running up front as he usually does in Phoenix, and he's meant a lot to our program. He's won 25 Cup races with us in just 7 years of racing with us, and we're certainly going to miss him. And he's done a lot for us in terms of extra stuff away from the track that we're really going to miss.
Go to Justin and then wrap with Dustin.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires, congratulations. They kind of beat me to that stat of the 2001, but that comes with a list of names like Jeff Gordon, who's in the Hall of Fame, Kevin Harvick, who I think we all can safely say will be in the Hall of Fame, and Jack Sprague, who had quite an impact in the Truck Series. When you hear those names and then hear the names now of this past weekend, we asked Kyle Larson, a couple of the others, that Blaney and these others are going to be fantastic people to represent what a champion looks like. So what does it feel like for Ford to be able to have those names be able to carry a championship trophy as well as the Blue Oval?
Yeah, as much as we're a car company and we make and sell cars and trucks and we're out here racing them, we're also a family company, a people company, and it is all about the people that are racing these cars inside the shop and ultimately the drivers that get it done on track. And those 3 drivers that we had win this weekend to win a championship, to have Ben Rhodes, Cole Custer, and Ryan Blaney as champions for the sport and representing our brand, we're really proud of what they've done. And I knew they all could do it, and really glad to see them as champions.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Mark, you've seen the sport for a number of years. On a weekend or on a day when Kevin Harvick's outgoing, Ryan Blaney wins a championship, youngest Final Four championship field. What kind of transition do you see in terms of drivers do you see from your perspective, and what can that mean with a potential younger driver base?
Yeah, it's the future of the sport, right? We've always got to be planning for that future, whether it's from an engineering perspective, a team perspective, but certainly the drivers. And there's a lot of youth right now, and that is important for the future of the sport, not just with having them be successful on track, but building those drivers to have a brand, to engage with fans, to keep the fans, the sport healthy with fans in the stand. And Ryan Blaney for us is somebody that certainly developed, he's got his own brand, his own person, and we love him for who he is, and proud that he's representing our brand.
We'll wrap up. Sorry, Mark, one more for you with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. Mark, I asked you last night if you thought you could get here, again. Do you officially rename this Ford Championship Weekend now?
I've heard a few people saying that. We had a lot of pride in Ford Championship Weekend, obviously in Miami Homestead for a long run, and unofficially, I guess we could call this weekend Ford Championship Weekend. Not a penny. Well, we paid for it, but in a different way.
Mark, congratulations on an outstanding weekend, and enjoy the off season. Okay, we are now joined by our 2 champions, our championship owner of Team Penske, Roger Penske, and the champion crew chief, Jonathan Hasler. If you have a question for either of these gentlemen, raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. Get as many as we can. We'll start here with John, and then go to Zach.
John Newby, NBC Sports. So, Roger, I was listening to Ryan's radio throughout the race, and, you would occasionally come on and just give him a word of encouragement, help him calm down. I was wondering if you could provide some more insight into that, I guess, that role you fulfilled during such a pivotal race.
Well, I guess other than the spotter, I have the right to give him a couple shots one way or the other. I think that, he was running fine. I think a little bit he was, concerned that he was being backed up by the one, obviously to the 5, which he really wasn't. But it just calming him down. He was doing a great job. The guys, Jonathan, the team, good pit stops, good strategy on getting that car right. It's more to say, hey, you're doing a great job. I told him before the race, win, lose, or draw, you're a champion.
Go to Zach.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Roger, also for you, to win back-to-back championships for this organization, especially in this next-gen era, how significant is this of a moment for Team Penske?
Well, we've had a lot of championships, but to the level that we're racing in NASCAR today, I've never seen it before. And, my great friend Rick Hendricks, I think he is 15 or 16 to think about it. We're excited to have 4. We've got a long way to go. But, back-to-back shows the strength of our organization. We really weren't that strong in the middle part of the season. But as Jonathan and the engineering team, along with Ford, helped us get better and better. And you can see how well the Fords ran even here today. And I think it was a combination of many things. But for me personally, that's what we're here for. We love the competition. We love the stress, but also we like a day to sit down here like this and say we're champions.
Go to Wolfgang Lee and then Jenna.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. First of all, congratulations for you both. I'm sorry, but I have 2 questions for Jonathan, not one. Number one, Team Penske has 3 race organization in different category, championship, IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR. My first question, that different cars, different technology, different kind of races. Nevertheless, when there is an engineering problem, also, are you also talking and trying to get advice from your colleagues from IndyCar or IMSA? And my second question, I guess, as a non-technician, when you rolled out the car in Daytona until the very last race here in Phoenix, you made ongoing developments. Can you maybe brief information what kind of errors you had improved at the car? Aero package, engine, suspension?
Yeah, to your first question on the, collaboration across Team Penske, we try to certainly work together as much as we can and share information and talk and communicate and share philosophies. And, there's a lot of great people at Team Penske. And it's certainly those people that are able to kind of, put cars in victory lane and win championships. So I'm certainly, honored to be a part of that. Speaking to the development through the year, it's really not one area. There's a lot of little things that you can do to these cars, and you got to make the right decision on each one of those little things along the way. And, I think the adage is, pennies make, nickels, nickels make dimes, dimes make, dollars. And you just kind of stack all those things up and try to put the best piece together you can at the end of the day. Yeah, we develop on the cars, each and every week.
Go to Lee.
Roger, when I guess it was about 20 ago, I turned to Jenna. I said, when was the last time the captain went back-to-back in IndyCar? And she said 2016, 2017. To be able to accomplish that, not only in IndyCar, but here, I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
Well, as you know, we're racers. And my dad took me to Indianapolis in 1951 as a kid. I see a lot of kids out there with their parents, and I think I was, injected at that point about racing. And obviously, winning at Indy is something, but this you guys follow this sport, and it is tough. You talk about 38 weekends or 38 races or competitions, and you got to be at your best. You could see it today. I mean, here's the 20 car, which could have been a winner today, had a mechanical problem. It was just Six Sigma isn't good enough in a day like this. And we had some pit stops where guys maybe were a little bit quicker. Ours weren't bad. But the good news is I think we learned how to win. Blaney's learned how to win over the last couple of months. You've seen that, and I think he's matured to be a champion. And when you see guys like Kyle Larson and you see Elliott come up to him in that winner's circle and congratulate him, he's a key guy in that garage area, and he'll set a lot of standards, for the other drivers coming up. And to me, he showed how good he is today to everybody, not just our team and Jonathan, myself, but when you think about Jonathan coming with us here, really had been with us a long time and having the chance to take that step up, he said, look, you and Blaine are going to get together. They didn't know. But they've been a tremendous combination, and I think that's what we have at Indy too. And we got one thing, we got continuity, and we have low turnover. And half the people that are at Team Penske have been there over 10 years, and I think that's the Hendricks organization. Some of these others that have the success. So, Jonathan, I congratulate you and what you've been able to do with Ryan as an individual and as a friend, and obviously as our leader in the cockpit of the car. So, IndyCar championships. NASCAR championships, they just go down in the book, and we got to get one next year.
And can you just describe Blaney's star power? Because I've been saying for years, if he ever got on a streak where he could win, he would be big. I mean, you've had Mark Donohue, Rick Mears, Elio. I mean, you just look at the kind of guys that kind of ascend, beyond the sport. And Blaney can be that guy. And I'm just wondering, what do you think, his limits are?
I think his limits are the sky, to be honest with you. I think that, he gets in that class, with Mears. He's a soft-spoken guy, really. But when he gets behind the wheels, like Joey, when he puts his hat on, don't get in his way. And I think they showed that today. And he's only getting better and better. He's got the confidence. He's a leader. He's a winner, and he's a champion. And once you have that, it's so hard to get there. I mean, I don't think any of us realize him personally, just those last 20 or 30 laps when he had to pass a couple of those guys to get the championship. That shows his true mettle. But he's got a long way to go, a long way.
Jenna?
I wanted to ask you both about Blaney. He came in yesterday after qualifying, and he seemed a little down, and we asked him about it, and he's like, this is how I always am. I'm always like this. And then we, who don't race, we kind of thought he was foolishly racing Chastain too hard. and Larson and Byron come in, and they're like, no way. Blaney, he loses his cool all the time out there on the track. He ran into Truex at the end of stage 2. We totally expected all that. So, like, what kind of racer is Ryan Blaney? Is he this hot-tempered, like, aggressive racer that we don't? Is he fooling us all?
I don't think he's hot-tempered. I think that you could say his frustration level gets above the boiling point, what I'd have to say. But, look, I talked to him after qualifying. He was disappointed. You know what he said to me? I started 14th in the last stage, a week ago, and I won. He said, I'm fine. That's all I had to hear.
Yeah, I think, I think he came into this race obviously with a lot of confidence and wanted to make a statement. And, I think he raced that way as well. So, racing with the one there at the end, I think was 100% the right thing to do. I think the more cars that we can get between us and those other guys in the event that we have another, pit stop later in the race is going to be a huge help for us, obviously, with the 24 and the 5 having those really good pit stalls. I'm definitely fine with that. I think that was what we needed to do. And, there definitely came a point where, the 1 and the 19 were up there and we kind of needed to lay down for a minute and just, hold our own. And he finally did that when the time was right for that.
Go over here.
Burns, BlazeRadioOnline.com over here. This is a question for Jonathan. Most of the race, the first half was running the green, and then, there was caution about 40 laps ago. Did you had to make any changes to the car for the shorter run, or did you feel that your car was good enough on both the long and sort of the medium-long run?
Yeah, I thought we made a really small change there at the end. The track was definitely changing as the race went on, and we we tried to leave it alone for a run, and we took a step backwards, so we had to kind of double down and try to catch back up with it. And then I think the sun setting a little bit definitely turned the corner on the track, and we had to try to keep up with that, and I think we did a decent job with that.
Go over here to Jonathan.
Jonathan Field, the racing expert. So this is for Roger. So you're talking about continuity. You've been at this table before after Brad's won, after Joey's won, now after Ryan's won. I mean, kind of speak to the leadership that you've seen out of Ryan compared to previous years and just the outlook on the future.
Well, I think, when you think about Ryan, you got to think about the Mike Nelsons and the Travis Geislers. These are the young son heroes. You follow me? That they're part of this team, and I think it was a team effort. And, from my perspective, Ryan was the guy that capped it off today, and it's about the all of Team Penske.
Go to Kelly and then Dustin.
Kelly, CrownRacer.com. I have one for each of you. Jonathan, you're Ryan's third crew chief since he's been at Team Penske. Can you reflect on what this journey has been like for you coming in, trying to be the guy to get him to this point? He had been in the playoffs. He had tried to get through the round of 8 so many times. What has this been like for you? And you're a relatively young crew chief by, statistic wise. So what has this been like for you?
Yeah, I think, I've been at Team Penske obviously a long time, and Ryan and I kind of had a little bit of relationship on the side while I was kind of, working with some of the other teams and kind of became a friend of mine with some shared interests. So, when the Todd Gordon retired and we had some other people moving around, it was certainly the best opportunity available. He's got tons of speed and tons of talent, and I kind of wanted to get on board. So we kind of spent last year just kind of learning, each other. And we figured out that, we could go really fast. We had a lot of speed, through a lot of different races. I thought we could have run, won 6 or 7 races last year if we executed, but we didn't. So we really went to work in the off season on just kind of finishing the 2/3 point of the race, both on my end and on his end. I probably needed to make some better adjustments as the races went on, and he needed to stay a little bit more composed as things kind of didn't work out the way that, that they were, he expected them to, or they weren't perfect. So we definitely addressed that in the off season. I think obviously we've made a lot of progress.
Roger, when you look at Ryan's place at Team Penske, when he was teammates with Brad and Joey, I think some would look and say he was the third guy. They were champions. They had made multiple championship 4 appearances. This was his first. Now he has a championship. What do you think that does for not only his confidence, but maybe feeling like what his place is at Team Penske, that he's not just the other Penske driver anymore?
Well, I think when you go back and he came on board, he came up, with running in Xfinity for some races, won championships, and he was the third driver. When you look at Brad and you look at Joey, and they were very complimentary of him and supported him. And I think the fact, Brad came up here on the podium here this afternoon and gave him a big hug with the job he's done. I mean, they're all champions. We try to run our business very flat. You follow me? You might be number 3 coming through the door, but, on race day or in the business, we're all the same, and I think that's where he is today. Joey's taken over when Brad moved on as the senior guy, and I think that you've seen that. And, we're working with Harrison and working with Cindric. I think this is all part of it, but I don't want to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, quite honestly. I want to have, all ones, and I think he's one of those.
Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Roger, for all the success you've had in IndyCar, in the NASCAR side, didn't get a championship for a number of years. Now this is your third in the last 6 seasons. And I'm just curious about, for somebody who is so used to having success and so driven, what maybe were the frustrations from a personal standpoint in not being able to get a championship early on, and just how your organization's been able to turn around to be one of the more dominant teams in the last half decade.
Well, I'd say, Dustin, that, as we were gaining momentum in NASCAR was changing. Technically, I think it moved our direction where we had this cross-pollination, a previous question from the different aspects of whether it's sports cars or IndyCar. And really, as we got into this and we built this solid team, I mean, you think about it, maybe over 10 years, we've had some really strong cars. And I think that's all about the people and them staying with us. And obviously, the Ford Motor Company has supported us tremendously during the switch, if you look at it, where we've been. And to me, it's continuity with our people. It's the sponsors. Look at John Menard, who has been at Indy as long as I have. And to see him win this today, I mean, these are the things you can't buy. It's all about performance, and I think that's what we're all about as a company. And I certainly feel that way. And we're just fortunate to be on a playground where we all can race like we did today. And I see this young group of guys coming up. I guess the average age is 28 or 27 or 28. It might be the new breed, but you could see racing Truex and racing these guys out. There's a lot of respect for all 4 of them. So to me, we're just glad to be in the bunch.
And I'm also just curious, look, for all the racing you've seen, all the success and things like that, I mean, when you're watching Ryan and how tight a competition it was with the one and other cars at times later part of the race, are you nervous? Are you jumping up and down? I mean, I know you're the captain, but, sometimes the captain gets a little bit unnerved, don't they?
I thought the captain had to stay cool. He was the coolest guy on the ship. I would say hourly I probably was cool, but inside I was turning over. I can tell you, I was counting the laps, and I was going to say, hey, you got 7 to go, and finally, our man said 7 to go because he had a nice lead at that point, but I was waiting for the yellow. How about you?
Go to Shane.
Shane Connick, Charlotte Observer. So thinking about Ryan's success over the last year or so, obviously he's had a lot of it, made it to the round of 8 last year. But, obviously had that 59 race winless streak. How much of a turning point do you think that Charlotte win was for him?
Well, I think, as Jonathan said, last year we could have won some races. It was some bad luck. It was poor execution. It was speeding in the pits. We have a red list you could put on the wall of things that cost us races last year. So I still had the confidence, even last year, that we get going this year. Now, obviously, we had a different car, and Ford, maybe didn't have the downforce we wanted. But on the big tracks, hey, we were right there, weren't we? All season long on the big tracks. And I think as Jonathan and the team and Travis and Michael and the whole engineering group started to understand the car better, the little things, as he said, stacking pennies and dimes to get where we are. And I think that it's just progression. And look, we're not going to stop because the car doesn't get fixed by sitting it in the garage. And the driver got better, the crew got better, and I think the outcome is what we see here today. They're champions.
And 6 of the last 7 races, he has finished in the top 6. What do you think it just says about him, about how he's grinded through these playoffs and just been this strong?
Well, you could put the words in my mouth, really. I mean, amazing, and consistency, and when was the bubble going to burst? Well, it didn't burst today, did it? So to me, he carried that win, at the super speedway, and then you saw the run he had with Hamlin, in Florida, and then of course to run 500 laps with these guys last week, and not make a mistake and stay cool. To me, he broke the bank. I mean, he was there, and he understood what he had to do. And someone said earlier that Jonathan said the last third of the race, he raced himself too hard early on. But see, today, he actually even said on the radio, he just had to cool it down and get ready to go. He was more worried about what was coming up in the back. But I think he had some left when he went back up to try to get the one, if you saw that, didn't he? I mean, he started to pick it back up again. So he had a little bit in the bank.
Thanks, Roger.
Deb.
Deb Williams, Auto Week. When Austin Cindric was in here yesterday, he told us that when Joey Logano got eliminated from the playoffs, everybody at Team Penske mobilized to make sure Ryan Blaney was going to make the champion. For both of you, how did you mobilize Team Penske to get him to this position?
Well, I think number one, we knew what we had to do to have. He's in the championship Final Four. So when we came to the racetrack the last several weeks, everybody came the same way. So we had an opportunity, and then they had a certain element that they had to test on their car because, there's very little testing, very little practice. And I think that went into the notebook. And then Jonathan could take the plus and the minus, whether it was tire pressures, whether it was aero, whether it was springs or shocks. We had that ability to get that from really the three drivers plus what Harrison was doing. So to me, I think then that was the key for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I agree entirely with Roger's assessment there. It was just making sure we show up the same, picking the highlights really from my list of kind of the things that I think we need to work on and get answers to and try to answer those questions and then put our best foot forward for the race.
Okay, we'll take one last one from Jerry.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires. Jonathan, real quick. Early in the playoffs, I was talking to some people about what you guys were working on. And I was told that I even asked Ryan about this at Texas. I said, I heard y'all found something. I don't think you're going to tell me what exactly you found, but was it true that y'all had found something that you all were putting together for the final few races in the playoffs?
Go ahead, you can. Look, I think we found a lot of things, this car to get it where it needed to really operate because aerodynamic, it was so important. And I think we learned how to get that car, lower and faster. And I think it was that plus the spring and shock setup. I think the support that we talked about a minute ago from the other cars to get where we could try things because today you can't practice, you can't test. But I think the things that we were able to get through the Ford simulation and what we did ourselves was powerful to get us where we are.
Roger, Jonathan, thank you so much. Congratulations on an amazing
thank you. Thanks,
season and championship.
See you next year.
Okay, we are now joined by the race winner. That is Ross Chastain. Congratulations, Ross. If you have a question for Ross, raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. We'll start up front here with Jenna.
Jenna Fryer, AP. Congrats, Ross. Kind of a weird question. You raced Blaney totally hard. I get it. You're racing for the win. Like, what's your mindset there? And does any of it play into beyond, I want to win this race? I'm a Chevy guy. He's a Ford racing Chevys.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was in every thought, every corner, every throttle application, every brake input, every downshift, upshift, all parts of the lap. I was not going to crash him. I was not going to use my front bumper, side fenders, anything. Dirty air, different story. Yeah, I'm going to, and I'm going to keep the lead because that's everything. So before the second to last run, I thought we had him covered. And then, coming to the end of stage 2, the 17 drove by me. I couldn't hold him off. Made some adjustments, got too loose. We were too tight. Then we were too loose. Then we were too tight again when Blaney and the 19 were right there. And that last caution came out. And I just asked Phil and our group to please let me turn better, make the car turn better without giving up any rear grip. And then we were able to drive away. So I just knew that if I could hold him off, and he got by me one time, I was able to get back by him. Was not going to run him up, was not going to pinch him up. yeah, I know he's mad, and I don't care. I do not care. I did not care then. I do not care now. I'm here to race him. I'm not going to wreck him. And I gave him the bottom most times. One time I was inside of him was after he got by me. I crossed back over into 3, and I made sure to wrap the bottom. Like, I'm not going to slide up and pinch him at all. It's in my mind the entire time, for sure. Anger. He gets angry. It's okay. I've known him for a decade. And I could see him moving around in the car, and the car's going straight, and I could see his colorful suit and gloves. I didn't see, apparently there was, I was number 1. I don't know. But I could see like movement when I checked the camera, and I was like, oh, he is angry. And then, the caution came out, and we made the right adjustment, and we were able to drive away. So, it's nothing other than wanting to win and wanting to hold track position. And he could run second and win the championship. He did it last year. He could do it again, and he ultimately did it. Yep.
Go up here to Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Following up on a lot of that, Ross, were you surprised, given everything that was at stake for him, that he's running in the back of you and really forcing the issue? Or, I mean, you said you've raced him so long. Is he always that aggressive? Were you expecting that, or?
Yeah. No, I didn't expect him to throttle up down in 1 and 2 and drive square into me. But these cars allow that. They do. And the 19, he didn't care about the 19. He probably just assumed the 19 win over me. I don't know. But, yes, unexpected. And that last caution couldn't have came out like at a better time. I was so thankful. But didn't account for guys on 2 tires. Didn't expect to be second row. Thought I'd be front row again, kind of no matter what. So, not surprised by it, but because it's him and he does that, and these cars allow that. They allow like just inconsequential hits, but they also don't affect the front car as much either. Like I slid, but I was able to hold the lead.
And then in your answer to Jenna, I was struck by the fact that, like, hey, I'm here to race. I'm not going to give an inch. Like, that's how you always race. But the ethos of this race for the non-championship 4 guys has been, as Steve Woodard would say, racing with mittens. That like it almost seems like that's why we've had 9 consecutive winners who were champions until you. You told Dave Burns out there that like you were proud of winning this race because you've done something that's never been done before. Do you feel like you also kind of set a new standard for maybe how to race the championship 4 guys today? Are you proud of that as well?
Well, I'm proud that we won. And I watched practice back Saturday morning, and I heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. say, like, Ross will be one that'll get up and race these guys. And I paused it, and I was sitting there, and I'm like, what? Would I do that? I don't know. That seems kind of aggressive. And then I clicked in, and I didn't really have an answer for myself. Like, I asked myself, would I race them? And I was like, well, I'll race them, but would I like, he was like, he's going to race them aggressive. He'd be one that'll do it. If there's anybody that'll do it, he will, or however he said it. And I was like, I don't know. Kind of undetermined. And then I got out there, and I was like, I'm doing it. I am racing them. But the difference is I'm not going to use my front bumper, front fenders, like, side. I'm not going to pinch them up into the wall. I'm not going to fence. Like, I didn't mean to fence Larson at Darlington, but I did it. Like, I was not going to do that. I was not going to drive into the corner. And like when he cleared me down into 1, like I was like, I'm not going to try to like make it anything other than cross him over and do it clean and then have leverage into 3 and wrap the bottom. And it worked. And I was like, holy cow. Like, he passed me. He's faster, but I got right back by him. He did not. I don't even think he led the lap. So, in my mind the whole time. And proud of the precision driving we all did. You know, the only contact was him just in a moment of anger, just throttling up in 1 and 2 to drive square into my back bumper. Other than that, no contact. And, that's what I'm here to do.
Come up here to Lee.
Ross, I'm just kind of curious, ending this year on a high note, I mean, do you kind of think of what could have been if the years were reversed and you were in the championship 4 last year? I mean, does it make that any easier coming out of here with a win, knowing that it's possible, that it's capable, that you can do that if you get to the championship 4 again?
For me, it's an evolution of Trackhouse. and GM with this car, right? It's year 2. We finished up year 2 with this car. We came out so fast last year. We found it in the last Charlotte Oval test, and then we came out to road courses everywhere, and we won on road courses, super speedways. We didn't win on the Oval last year. We won there this year. We sustained that level of competition. Look, we've had our fair share of 8th place days and 18th place days, and sometimes 22nd place days, like straight up. So, it's just a continuation in a. We're staying here. We're not going away. Like, we're disruptive on track, usually by my driving. But it goes with the disruptiveness of Justin and Pitbull and our leadership team doing things different and having a real presence in Nashville, and us keep holding events there and keeping a presence there on Broadway for something outside of Charlotte and Concord and the Lake Norman area. Our shops in Concord, all of our employees are there except for Justin and the brain trust of the marketing side. So, I just love that we're staying here and we're continuing to be fast. Our processes are working and we trust them and we continue to see it through.
Go ahead, Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Rushbrook Press Agency. First of all, congratulations. I hope my question is not too personal for you. I was confused at the podium ceremony after your race when you're winning. You smashed the watermelon. Can you explain why?
Yes, Wolfgang. Good to see you. I think the last time we talked, it might have been at this podium in 2019. I was also very excited about the future, and then obviously it didn't come to fruition. But I guess I was up here last year for championship stuff, and I'm having flashbacks to that day, and it's good to have you back. I'm an 8th generation watermelon farmer, and anytime I can put agriculture on a bright light stage like this with these incredibly bright lights as you guys go in and out of focus for me, it's what I want to do. We're a small part of the 1% that's in charge of feeding the other 99% of us that rely on farmers to eat every day. And if it's smashing a watermelon on the front stretch and then in victory lane, it's just to shine a bright light and promote agriculture, and hopefully win on Sunday, sell on Monday. We sell some watermelons tomorrow. And then my platform is incredible. So I get to obviously we have our corporate partners that Trackhouse is able to, put on my car. And then I also get to do what I want. It's my life. It's my career. It's my platform. And so, something like bringing farmers to the racetrack next year, starting at the Daytona 500 with our Ag to Asphalt program, is just a simple way for me that I can just tell farmers thank you, let them enter on agtoasphalt.com, and they can come enjoy the races. We had a Bear Seminis, now at Seedway guy with his kid this weekend. Kid had never been to a race. That kid is hooked, and that's the same way with other farmers that will be here next year. So, I just want to promote what my family has done for a really long time. Most of the families in the room, if you go back far enough, all of y'all, your families farmed at some point. They were smart enough to get out of it, okay? There was some not so good days, and my granddad remembers them, but for my dad's generation and my generation, it's been better days, and these, I believe, are the good old days. So promoting agriculture is top of mind for me. So, smashing it is just what I do, and I'm going to keep doing it hopefully for a really long time. That's right. That's right. The crowd, I was a little worried that they might be focused on Blaney. I went down to 3 and 4 where NASCAR wanted me to go, and did a burnout by them. Me and Blaney did burnouts by each other. That was pretty cool. I was worried we were going to run into each other, and then the reaction was just as strong as the other wins, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud that people see that how much I care whenever we win. Every race, there's one right inside the hauler. Look, we've had a bit of a rough patch, so it's been in there a little bit, but watermelon has never tasted as sweet as it does in Victory Lane. And I'm going to gnaw this thing all the way down. Yeah, that's right. It's a great koozie.
Go over here.
Ross, Trey Matthews, Cronkite News, PBS. You described a little while ago how you were personally racing Blaney, how you were going for the win, and you didn't care that he was racing for a championship. But I want to ask you, like, how would you describe Blaney's race style, whether it was this race or previous competitions that you may have had now that he is the champion?
Well, I do want to, maybe I said it wrong earlier, but I do care. I care arguably out there more than anybody, because I was not going to put him in a position to damage his car in any way or put his car in a bad spot other than keep him behind me. And as long as he's behind me, that's all I cared about. We're all different. He reacts physically in the car. He says stuff on the radio for sure, but I just have known him that he you can see him. They wear bright neon yellow, so you can see it easily. I think that I believe that I cared arguably more than him. He didn't have to pass me to win the championship. He could stay right there. There was no other competitor for points within any sight of me. It was the 19, the 12, and the 1, third, second, first. So, I'd say I cared more than anybody. As long as he was running second. He didn't need to run first. He didn't run first last year, and his teammate won, and now he could run second again and win championship.
Cooper Owens, BlazeRadioOnline.com over here. Ross, how difficult was it to just run pretty much from yellow line to the wall today? It seemed like everywhere was working. You were on the bottom, you were on the top. How difficult was that? And also just, not only racing, but fending off all those guys in all those different lanes.
Yeah, the track changed a lot, and we had speed all weekend. We knew that, and as we moved around in the race, when I started the first run, I could see the people in front of me moving up, so I moved up with Harvick and with a few of the guys. By the way, that was incredible to race with him like that, like restart side by side with him. In his last race was just, I actually got a little emotional in the car. I was like looking over, and then we were coming to the restart, and I'm warming my tires. I'm like, don't feel sorry for him. Go pass him. Like, it's a race. And drove off into turn 1 and was able to get the lead. But, we would start on the bottom, and then I asked once I had the lead and had the front couple spots when they were moving up, when guys were moving up off the bottom. And Brandon and Phil were giving me updates of when it was a little early, they were already half the field was up there. So, it was our car was versatile. I could go places, I could place it, a little half turn of brake bias to tighten me up as I went throughout the run, and it was I could place it and still make speed. There's been times here at Phoenix with this group. Our first race here in the 42 car in 2021 was my first race with Phil Surgen and my engineers, and we were the slowest car into turn 1 by far. Like, I couldn't get in the corner. I had to slow down, and I'd argue that there weren't many people faster than us today, and I could place it where I wanted to.
Go to Jonathan over here on the left.
Jonathan Field, the racing experts. What a season, first of all. I know you've faced some challenges. What is it like to just put an exclamation on exclamation point on the season with what you did today?
Indescribable. It's honestly hard to put into words what this means. What winning in Cup feels like. I cannot describe it. I cannot describe the ripple effects this will have going into the off season, preparing for next year. Justin Marks hired me, Trackhouse hired me, and Justin knew who I was. I've wrecked Justin Marks in the Xfinity races before. Daniel Suarez has wrecked Justin Marks in Xfinity races before. He knew who he was hiring when he put us two behind the wheel of his two cars. And, through all the stuff, he stayed with us. There was definitely public stuff that I wouldn't have said, but he's my boss and he gets to say it. He owns the team. And I got to be the employee at that point. As an independent contractor, I have to listen to what he says if I want to drive the car. And so y'all got to watch that. Y'all got to watch me learn through that process. Our sport is incredibly invasive for professional and personal things that people say if they say them publicly, which y'all will put a microphone in front of us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if we'll allow it. So it is so good to end this season with all the stuff, right? And the best way I could describe it, just a lot of stuff. And that's cup racing. I'm going to make mistakes, and they knew that hiring me, and through the good days of winning and the bad days of crashing out, going for wins or spinning people out, ultimately they're there for me. And this is a great way to go enjoy the off season.
Okay, we'll take one more. We'll go to John.
John Newby, NBC Sports. So I asked William Byron and Kyle Larson earlier, just about the future of the sport, the guys that'll keep contending for championships year after year after year. Is it exciting for you knowing that will potentially be in this group and that you've won at, some of the most important tracks you need to?
Yes. To say my name next to guys like Kyle Larson, it's hard for me to believe it. It's hard for me to understand it, comprehend it. Early last year when we won at COTA, we walked back in the shop that was CGR, the shop that I had been at for so many good things of getting the jobs, winning the Xfinity race. Then it's all gone. Now I'm the third Cup driver in the 77 with Spire. Now we're coming in as a 42 driver. Like, for those win parties, I had a bit of like imposter syndrome or something. I didn't really believe it. And I'm having a bit of it now whenever you like look long term and you're saying like maybe I'm going to be competing. That's pretty wild, but I feel like, yes, we're going to celebrate this. And obviously we have no racing. I think my next race now is maybe Speedfest at Watermelon Capital Speedway in January. I got some time to celebrate, but a lot of work to do. I mean, there was a lot of tracks this year I did not show up, me personally, giving my best effort, just from a gas and brake and steering perspective of things. Worked a lot on Phoenix over the last few months, and I put that into action today, and then together with the car being incredibly good, you saw that. So yeah, I don't really know how to comprehend that maybe in a couple of years we're still doing this. I'm human. I go back to my past, and I've had things taken away that were a sure bet. I thought it was, a one direction all the way up the mountain, and had to go find another mountain to climb, and we found it and we're climbing it. So I feel like as long as I get up and I do my best, I put my work in, I go to work, and I surround myself with good people. I trust our processes that, yeah, we'll see.
Ross, congratulations on the big win, and enjoy the off season.
Y'all too. How is it? Wassermelon? How do you say watermelon in German? Yeah. Right. How do you say it? Wassermelon. I don't, yeah. Huh. To Germany? Oh, that's... Right. We'll sell it to anybody, so...
Okay, we are now joined by our 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion, and that is Ryan Blaney. Ryan still has a long night of media ahead of him, so we're going to get as many questions as we can with him, but if I don't get to you, I apologize in advance. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I'll get you a mic, and we'll start with Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. What did you take from last year's playoff and other playoffs that you applied to really the last few weeks, particularly in Martinsville, particularly today?
Yeah, I mean, we had a good shot to get here last year, and I made mistakes, at Vegas and Miami that kept us out, and that was pretty brutal, for me, for our whole group, right? Whenever you are the one personally making those mistakes, you take it the harshest, right? But everyone on the 12 group supported me really well, and we just kind of set into, hey, what do we need to do to get better, right? Where are the areas we need to get better? And we did that over the off season and was able to get here this year. So I think we learned a lot from last year from multiple sides.
this also, I talked to your dad, and he said you kind of had some conversations about some things and how to kind of maybe manage things and that kind of thing. I'm wondering from your perspective what those conversations were like from the lessons from last year and this year.
Yeah, Dad's right there. He came with the media center with me. He's taking no questions though. No, I mean he's been awesome, right? I mean he's been not only someone I grew up, wanting to be like and wanting to do his sport. Obviously getting me started in racing, supporting me along the way, opened a lot of doors for me. And then for him to still be supportive, when I'm an adult is great. So he's been, he went on. His whole thing was like through the playoffs was, I see the path. I can see the path to the championship. I can see it. And after we won Martinsville, he's like, it's lit up now. The path is lit up. And I think we drove through the gate tonight. So we have arrived. So it's just cool to have my whole family here, which was very special.
Go to Shane and then Dustin.
Shane Connick, Charlotte Observer. Ryan, after you won at Charlotte earlier this year, you talked about your confidence level and how important, that win was, obviously snapping the skid and all that. How much of a turning point do you think that was, as obviously you went on to have this incredible playoff run that you had?
Yeah, I think winning the 600 was huge for our organization. For multiple reasons. It was big for me, right? Kind of getting out of that slump after not winning for a little bit, and it was definitely good. But honestly, I got asked earlier about this. I think the big, shot in the arm was winning Talladega in the playoffs. Our team we struggled through the summer months after the 600, and we worked really hard to try to get better and better. And our team was teetering on just needing little something good to happen, and then we're going to be full on dangerous. And we won Talladega, and it was green light, let's go. We're really in a good mood here, and I think that's what kind of set the rest of our playoffs off to where they are now. And so I think both of those wins were huge, but I personally think Talladega was a big shot in the arm right in the middle of the playoffs that really got us going.
Thanks, Ryan.
We'll go to Dustin on the left here, and then in the back to Jeff.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Couple questions. You talked recently just about, Chase winning his championship and feeling good for a friend. Now that you get the opportunity and you're tied with him and that he came up to the stage, what does that mean, and what did he say, or what did you guys share up there?
Yeah, it means a ton. I remember being there and going up to the stage in 2020 when he won his, and just being super proud for him, right? Chase and I have known each other and raced each other for a couple decades, and it's pretty special to share something with like that with somebody, a close friend like that, and for him to show me all the support this week was really neat, as well for me, of him kind of checking in on me, seeing how I was doing, right? Because he's been here a couple times, and so yeah, to have him up on stage was special. I'm gonna enjoy that picture of he and I with the trophy, and but no, he's been an amazing friend to me, great competitor, and it's cool to have that championship that we can share now. When we were kids, when we started racing together, we never would have thought, right, we'd be here and have a championship apiece, and it's really cool to share that with somebody.
Also, you can remember 5 years ago when the marketing campaign came out that promoted the young drivers, and now that was kind of a somewhat controversial among some of the competitors. To go from where you guys were in the spotlight at that point, the question was, hey, these guys hadn't deserved it yet, maybe the attention, to now where you've got a championship, Chase has got a championship, the youngest championship field. What has that journey been like, and how, that over that 5-year period to get from that marketing campaign to fulfilling what it was kind of promoting?
Well, I think it's nice to kind of have fulfilled that, because like you said at the time, I do remember that, if these guys haven't earned this marketing stuff, but it's nice to kind of be able 5 years later to have a couple of us that have won a championship that kind of solidifies well, okay. At the time, right, they're just pushing younger drivers, right? They're just trying to promote the younger guys, and yeah, some guys got a little hurt about that, but it's nice that these younger drivers, the newer guys, are succeeding in their own way and being able to have championships and wins, and for a fan base to kind of grow up with that, that driver of who's in their mid-20s, late 20s, right? it's something I think people can latch on to. So obviously now it's easy for me to look back at that marketing campaign and be like, oh, they knew what they were doing. But you never know how it's going to work. But no, it's 5 years ago. I mean, I never would thought we'd be sitting here right now, but it seems like they had a little knowledge of where they thought each of us were going to go.
Go to Jeff in the back and then Jen up here.
Hey, Ryan, I'm all the way in the back here. You've always been known as somebody that says yes to a lot of things that NASCAR asks, media opportunities and things like that. But now you're going to have a whole different opportunity with the NASCAR championship behind you and saying, hey, we can put you in all sorts of places. How would you like to use sort of this newfound platform to move the sport forward as a champion?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I'm excited to have those opportunities. I really look forward to facing them head on, and I feel like as if you get the privilege to be a champion of your sport, it is part of your job to promote your sport and do the best you can to be the best champion that you can. So that's the responsibility. I'm be honest with you, I haven't really thought about yet. I think that's going to kind of dawn on me in the following days. But no, I think it's part of your job to kind of, hey, embrace it, push the sport. You have this awesome platform now to where you've done something incredible. Use that, right, and promote the sport. So I'm excited to see what happens this offseason, see what comes up to where, you're not only growing yourself, you are growing the sport as well of NASCAR. Someone asked me earlier, the Netflix deal that's happening right now, I've worked with them a lot through the playoffs, and they've gotten a lot of inside stuff, and I think that's just another big thing of, promoting the sport in a positive way to a certain audience or a brand new audience. So,
Jennifer, AP, congratulations. I got a long question for you. You came in yesterday and we joked about how you're always even-keeled, and then many of us thought you were racing Ross Chastain a little unnecessarily hard there. Ross says you got mad at him and ran in the back of him on purpose, and Larson and Byron said that that's pretty common of you to lose your temper like that. And Roger said that you tend to boil over, you pass boiling point, and that's not an even-keeled Ryan Blaney that we all know about. So you got a secret dark side out there? And also we were specifically told by Roger to ask you about the beard.
I guess to answer your first question, there's no secret that I can snap on the radio. I mean, that's been my whole life. I mean, that's been my whole career. I mean, it's just kind of what something I do. The fact that Ross said I raced him hard, I mean, the dude blocks 3 lanes, getting in the corner every lap. I mean, I don't know how I'm racing him hard. When you're looking in your mirror and you're going left and right and left and just following wherever I go, I don't understand how he thinks I'm racing him hard. He's just backing me up to the 5, so I have to go. I mean, he's backing me up to Larson to where I'm going to be in trouble. Well, fucking right, I hit him on purpose. I mean, yeah. Yes, I hit him on purpose. He blocked me on purpose 10 times. So, yeah, I hit him on purpose. I mean, what do you expect me to do? He's backing me up to the other championship guy, and I got to go. I mean, we were just racing hard, but did I think he was over excessive on the blocks? Yes, very much so. And, yes, did I hit him? Yes, I did. But that's just part of it. Yeah. What else do you want to know? The beard? Yeah. It's here. No, we didn't talk about that. I'll shave it off next year for sure, but it's a little playoff beard, so it's a little different. Yeah, I think that means he wants me to shave it. And it will get shaved. It'll get shaved. Just give me a couple months. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to Davey, then Lee, then Kelly.
Davey Siegel with SiriusXM in the back to your left, Ryan. You talked about peaking at the right time a few times this week, right? And there was a while in the summer where you guys were down, Penske was down, Ford was down, obviously, and now Ford has won all 3 championships. Was there a point that you got down on yourself as well and thought, okay, maybe this just isn't the year, or did you always kind of keep the faith and think that you guys were capable of getting this hot right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is easy to get down, but I mean, we won Charlotte in May, and then we just had like a string of bad runs, in the 2 or 3 months, and that was kind of across the board. And then you know, when RFK started running well, you know, Busher won those 3 races. Brad started running really good. It's like, all right, well, it's there. You know, it's the speed and the Fords are out there. These guys found it. What are we missing? We took that as a challenge. You know, okay, these guys have figured out a way to make what we thought was an uncompetitive car winning cars. So we can't blame that anymore. So let's just go to work. So I didn't really ever have that thought in the summer months, even when we were struggling, right? You just try to do the best you can of giving information on where we need to be better, whether that's from an engine side, aero side, you know, setup side. You just try to do the work, and you understand that this sport you're going to be, you know, on top for a little while, and then other teams are going to find something. You're going to go to the bottom for a little while. You just have to keep working hard, and that's what I love about this group is they don't ever, you know, get down on themselves. They just do the work and they just figure it out, and that's what they did. And so I never had a doubt in them. I mean, there was a lot of tough conversations. It was like, hey, we gotta do something, or we're not going to be competitive at all in the playoffs. And everyone jumped on the opportunity to dig down deep, and that's what they did, and wound up here.
Kelly?
SpencerCatchfence.com. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thanks.
What does this mean to the Blaney legacy? Because, you know, when you think about your past, your family's past, the championships that they've accrued, you know, to get to that point and now be part of that championship legacy, how cool is that for you?
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, I mean, just coming from a racing family in general, right? You know, grandfather Lou winning a bunch, you know, championships around, you know, the Northeast, and you know, Dad being the Outlaw champion, you know, Dale winning the All-Star championship, and now for me to kind of add some asphalt into there is pretty good, because that's what I grew up doing. But just special, you know, and I, you know, growing up around the racetrack, watching, you know, Jimmy and Jeff and Tony, Mark Martin, you know, I loved those guys, and I you know, saw them win championships and wanted to be that way, and for it to come full circle is very special. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't think of a better spot of my family being here, and they may be able to witness it, because, you know, they are just as much a part of it as I am. And not only my dad, my mom sacrificed more than you could imagine to make sure I could get to every race and do what I needed to do to get going. And I have 2 awesome sisters that support me. So it's pretty special to have them here.
Okay, we'll go Kelly, then Nate, then Jerry.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Ryan, I got 2 for you. First off, you've been hounded in the past. I'm guilty of it, of asking you about trying to get through the playoffs, trying to get through the round of 8 in particular. How nice is it not only to have made this championship 4, but to do it the first time and get a championship out of the way?
Yeah, out of the way. No, it's nice to you know, make our first Final Four. Obviously, that was like the main goal this year. It's something we haven't done, and to achieve that last week, it's like, all right, great, that's awesome. You know, check that one off, and then, you know, I mean, it's just a double whammy that we get to come here and you know, win the championship as well. I mean, just super proud of everybody, and yeah, it all happened. You know, gosh, did like Chase and Kyle did the same thing? Their first Champ 4, they won the championship. I think they did. So it's nice to, you know, come here and be 1 for 1. So hopefully we can continue to build off of this and be able to have more shots here at Phoenix to where we can contend as well.
Where do you feel like your place is now at Team Penske? Roger has said, I don't want to have 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers in the pecking order. But he admitted that, like I think some others would look at you, when you came into Team Penske and you're going against Joey and Brad, who are making multiple championship round appearances and winning championships, you were the 3rd guy. You were the other Penske driver. So having a championship now, where do you feel like that puts you in this organization? Does that even matter to you?
I don't really think it matters to me very much. I mean, and yeah, you know, RP's always done an amazing job of, like, you know, there's not like a number 1, number 2, number 3 driver, right? But personally, as a driver, right, when you're not winning as many races as, you know, Brad and Joey, when I came into it, you feel like that, right? The number 3 driver or number 2 driver now, you know, but and that's just like a personal like mindset, right, that drivers get. But now I think, you know, Joey's got 2, I have 1, so it's like still like a 0.5% down of him. But no, I mean, we have a great group over there. Joey's been fantastic to work with. Austin's awesome, and Harrison's fantastic as well. So I just enjoy driving for amazing people like Team Penske folks and Mr. Penske, Walter, Bud Danker, Jonathan Gibson, Tim Cinder. I mean, they're all amazing to me. Mike Nelson, and it's just fun to be there. I really couldn't imagine myself anywhere else. They've been fantastic to me for over 10 years, and hopefully I get to spend another at least 10 more over there.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. I've got two, too. I'm going to set you off probably with another Ross question. He also said that Ryan could run second and win the championship. He did it last year. He can do it again. So with everything that was at stake, like what made you feel like you still had to get that position? Like, did it cross your mind that I could just kind of ease back a little bit and still win the championship?
Yeah, I mean, the thing at the time was he was struggling, and the 5 is catching us. So he's going to continue to struggle, and the 5 is going to be there before the race is over. I mean, that was my urgency. Like, I can't have this guy back me up to the 5. So that was my sense of urgency, is I got to get in front of him so he doesn't back me up to the 5 who I'm racing. So, yeah, it's easy to say, like, oh, you just run second, but you never know if that thing goes green. And then the 5's there, and then your championship is kind of dwindled away. So
you talked about how last year, round of 8, I think it was Vegas, Homestead, those mistakes kind of just devastated you. And I know you said you did some work in the off season. Can you give us a little more insight into who helps you find that chill in the cockpit? Who have you been working with, or who has kind of guided you to kind of find that focus?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it was something we talked about a lot, between me and Jonathan and kind of internally with myself, and just trying to figure out. It's like, all right, it's not fun pointing out things that you do poorly, right? And like it's not fun pointing out flaws about yourself, but it's important to do to try to work on. Like you're bad here, you do a terrible job at this. It's hard admitting those things to yourself internally, but like if they're holding you back, you have to address those problems. And I think I just kind of finally like had a realization. It's like you got to really get better at this if you expect to go forward in your career. Like you have to do this, and you have to be smarter during races. You have got to think about the bigger picture. It's not only about being fast. You have to evolve yourself to be a more well-rounded racer. And it was a lot of conversation with myself internally, honestly. And so yeah, just I don't know. I think it gets easier as you get older. You kind of get more mature and just try to take things a little bit easier and be a little bit more thoughtful about how you approach things. So
we'll go to Jerry and then Dustin Albino.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net, over to your left. You got out of the car and you said you're not an emotional guy, but obviously that weighed on you to win this championship, everybody being here. When does this really sink in, and is it safe to say that this is the greatest moment of your racing career?
Yeah, I'm not a very emotional guy, and I did tear up on the last lap a little bit in the helmet, just thinking about a lot of stuff. I was a little sobbing baby on the radio after the race. I could barely speak. Just thinking about everything. Proud of everybody. It's been a long career in motorsports, and yeah, I don't know. Just kind of overcome with emotion. I mean, if you try to do something for a long time, you're overcome with it, and it's just kind of part of it. So, what was the second question you asked? Oh, by far. I mean, but this tops everything, right? This is what you dream of as a kid. This is what you strive for. This is what you run 35 races a year for, to get to this moment, to have a shot at the championship, and then you have to run a perfect race to get it. So, oh, yeah, definitely a huge moment, not only for me. I mean, everybody involved in it. It's way bigger than I am, and I can't thank those folks enough for doing what they do.
Go Dustin, then Alan.
Dustin Albino, J.Ski Ryan right here. As a crew chief, Hassler ascended to the top of the sport really quickly, just 2 full-time seasons. What makes him, or what traits make him such a good leader?
Yeah, I mean, when Hassler's been fantastic. I mean, he's such a good guy, and he and I's personality are pretty similar. So when, Todd Gordon told me he was retiring after 2021, it's like, all right, they gave me a lot of kind of leeway to pick, who I wanted. And Jonathan, I had my eye on because he crew chiefed the 21 car for the last half of the year in 21 and did a great job. And he's been around Penske for a long time. And, he and I just kind of went out one night and had dinner and just talked. And I really enjoyed how our conversations went and our personality meshed. And I knew he was a smart guy. And being able to work with him through the winter, of 21 into the new car, he's done a fantastic job. And, he was an engineer. So it's hard to go from an engineering role straight into crew chiefing. You're managing and you're leading 15 guys, and you're trying to keep them pumped up, and you're also thinking about setups with the engineers. You're trying to pump up the pit crew guys. You're trying to tell the mechanics what to do. It's like that role is tough to jump into, and it took him a little while to kind of get comfortable with that. But this year, it's kind of like what internally I went to myself last year of what I can do better. He and I had the talks of like, hey, what can we both do better to make this more of a leadership role and for you to get more comfortable, and he embraced it. He's been fantastic to our whole group, and gosh, it's been fun. Been fun to work with him. He's just an awesome guy, and cool to have a really fun year with him.
Go to Alan and then Cole.
Alan Cavana. Ryan, congratulations. Can you just take us through the nuts and bolts of that final run? You come off pit road, and all of a sudden there's the challenge of now you got to get your spot back. You got to beat Kyle Larson. What goes through your head in terms of setting your mind up and what you have to do in those last run?
Yeah, I mean, I was bummed we lost. Or we didn't really have a bad pit stop. Those guys just had lightning fast stops, and it's like, man, well, that kind of stinks. But then you just immediately shift to, all right, this is the task. Like, this is my new job. This is what we have to do. And I think getting around the 24 early was huge, right? To where I didn't have to pass two of them. It just let me set my sights on Kyle, and was able to get a pretty good run there and get to his outside. When he got to the apron, it looks like he almost spun out getting to the apron, trying to not let me get to his bottom, and I thought we were gonna possibly wreck off a two, but it was tight. But no, it's just hard racing between two guys. I have a ton of respect for Kyle, and so it's fun to race him for the the championship like that. Obviously, his pedigree in racing is massive, and his talent is endless, and to be able to go toe to toe with him like that was pretty great.
And one of the first things you said over the radio to Roger was, thanks for giving me a shot. It's one thing to drive for Roger Penske. You've now won him a championship. What's that journey been like, since you first got that call?
I mean, I just look back, over 10 years and how it kind of all came through, and that would never have thought, 10 years ago I'd be here today. Just was lucky to be able to have an opportunity to drive for a team like Team Penske and work with such great people, from the Xfinity side to the Cup side, to be able to drive for the Wood Brothers, for a couple of years. Honestly, and I haven't said it, and I'm ashamed of myself for not saying it, Brad Keselowski was a huge piece of getting me in there, was a massive piece of, driving their Xfinity program. I drove his trucks for a couple of years. I mean, Brad was a huge connecting piece in me being a part of the Penske group. So I can't thank him enough. It was a lot of fun seeing him after the race. He came to the stage. That meant a lot to me because, like I said, he was a huge part of my career. So, but yeah, just you want to drive for amazing people, and I've been really lucky to do that, from Brad to the Wood Brothers to Penske. It's been a dream come true.
Cool.
Cole Kusaman with Arizona Republic. Congrats, Ryan. Alan got to my my initial question, so I'll ask this. 3 straight runner-up finishes at Phoenix. Is that frustrating for you? And I guess, does this sort of kind of make up for that?
I don't give a shit about running second 3 times.
Very nice.
Not now. I don't care.
Okay, Ryan, we will let you go on that one.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.